Hi everyone, it's Patrick again. The last two videos I talked about how to connect mail to everything on iOS, iPadOS and macOS. With these videos linked here, you get the skills to handle your email like a real pro. Now let's take a step back and talk about the workflow you need to establish to get in full control of your email. No matter what system you are on, whether you use Windows or Mac, iOS or Android, or which mail app you use, may it be Apple Mail, Outlook, Thunderbird, or whatever. Mail will always be a source of stress to you if you haven't defined and created a workflow which allows you to get in control of your mail. Here is the secret to becoming the master of your mails and not being enslaved by them. You need to reduce your decision time. If your inbox is full and you feel stressed by the amount of mail coming into your life, it is because you haven't predefined the decisions you want to take on each mail. There has been a lot of talk about inbox zero, but getting your inbox to zero isn't the ultimate goal you should strive for. You should really think bigger. It is getting in control of not only your emails, but everything that is connected with it, everything that comes with it. You know, emails can be so many different things. The work tasks you need to do, the bills you need to pay, the reference you need to file, the recommendations you need to check out, the appointments you need to schedule, and so much more. The thing is that getting to inbox zero is not enough. It is about creating a system, a process, which handles each email accordingly to what you want to do with the content of the email, and then file it away. It is about you being in control of everything that comes to email at you, versus you being rushed and enslaved by the amount of mail and all the commitments that'll come within these mails. So you need to create your own personal workflow. I will guide you through the process of setting it up and give you some examples, but you should adapt it to your needs and make it your own. There are 3 questions you need to ask and answer for each email. First, what type of email is it and what does the sender want me to do with it? Second, what do I want to do with it? And third, where do I want to store it? So let's get through these questions briefly. Number 1. What type of email is it? An email is just a transport vehicle for some information. It is only relevant to you if you can find out what the email wants you to do with it. Anyone who sends you an email wants you to do something about it. So, the sender may want you to do a certain task, buy something advertised in the mail, schedule a meeting, read something and probably subscribe to his newsletter, or something else. Now, the first step you need to take is to define what is asked of you by the sender and categorize the mail accordingly. You should define in what category you would put this email. Is it a task you should do? Is it a meeting that should be scheduled? Is it a newsletter you should read? Is it an invoice you should pay? Or is it just spam? If you take a look at your email inbox, you will quickly see that you only have a limited number of categories. For most people, I would say it is under 10 that you could put each email in. Now, each category should be treated differently in step 2. So it is essential that you learn to quickly find out what each email asks of you and through that in which category it should be put. Number 2. What do I want to do with it? In the first step, you define what others, the sender of the email, want you to do with the email. In this step, you define what you want to do about it. Make no mistake, this is a point of power, because you decide what you will do with the email. If someone wants you to buy something, you can just delete the mail. If someone wants you to do something, you can politely decline. If it is a newsletter, you don't have to read it now. You could either delete it or decide to read it later. The moment of control comes, especially with a lot of emails, when you have predefined your actions for each category. As an example, if it is a work task, you could have a predefined template to politely decline the task. Have a predefined process of creating a task from the email in your task system, possibly with a backlink to the email. And if it is a task that would only take 2 minutes, you might do it immediately and then reply. If it is a meeting proposal, you can have a defined way of scheduling that meeting in your system and get back to the sender. If it is an invoice, you could put it in a special folder which you go through once a week when you pay your bills in one sitting. If it is something you want to keep as reference, you put it in a reference or file system. The beauty with predefining these decisions is that you don't have to make the same decisions over and over again, and you'll be so much faster with your email processing. Number 3. Where do I want to store it? Once you've decided on an action and have either done it or have put it in a system, task manager, reference or file system or whatever, then you just have to decide where you want to put the email. If you don't need the email any longer, you can just trash it. If you want to store the information, you put it in a folder, either in an archive or in a client or project folder, or however you will create your structure. Now, about how you structure your email folders. I would not define that for you. This depends totally on your own style. Search nowadays has become so good with mail programs that you will find nearly anything faster by just searching for it. So putting it all in an archive folder might work for you. Or you would like to have a little more structure and put the mail for each client or even project in a specified folder. There is no right or wrong answer. However, you should define for yourself what type of mail you want to put where. Now, how to create this process? Writing down is the best way of becoming conscious about your process. And you do have a process, probably unconscious and possibly a bit broken if you feel stressed about email. Writing it down makes it obvious and allows you to create a more conscious process, which enables you to become better at getting in full control of your mail workflow. Here is how I would start. First, define your categories. Take a look at your inbox and find out the major categories of email you get. Here is a list of my main categories: tasks, newsletters, appointments, invoices, recommendations to check out, reference information, marketing, and spam. That's it. Second, define your actions. For each category, I write down what I will do with this type of email. Now, since there might be several ways to deal with mail for each category, I will create simple if-then rules here. Here are some examples. For tasks, if the task can be done now and be completed in about 2 minutes, I will do it and quickly reply to the sender. If the task needs to be done on a specific day or needs to be done today, I will create a reminder with a backlink in Apple Reminders and setting the date or today in the reminder. If it can be done any day and it is not due this week, I will create a reminder with a backlink to the mail in my inbox or even file it in the reminders list where it should go and will be examined during my weekly review. I will create the reminder using either Siri or the share menu or the drag and drop trick I've shown you in the previous videos. For invoices, I'll ask myself first, do I need to pay this manually? If yes, the next question is it due by a certain date? If so, then create a reminder with a backlink for a date 5 days prior to the due date. Otherwise, I put it in a folder called To Pay and pay it on the weekend, which is my usual time for paying bills. If I don't have to pay it manually, I'll save it as a PDF in my invoices folder on my file system for my tax consultant. You see, by defining the rules of action for each mail type, you don't have to think about what to do. You just process it, and this will be so much quicker once you have defined your actions. Third, define where to store the email. The last step is to define where to put the email itself. Here are some examples. For tasks, if it is a quick one-off task and I'll do it soon and don't need the reference mail, I'll just delete it. If it is a client task, I put it in my client folder in my mail system. I have a folder for each client. If it is a personal task, I'll put it in the area folder. I have a folder for each area. For newsletters, if I want to keep it, I put it in a folder for the newsletter. Otherwise, I forward it to Instapaper and delete it. For invoices, if they are automatically paid or once I have paid them, I'll put them in the invoices folder. These are the 3 steps you need to handle each email as quickly as possible. How to start? Now that you know the process of getting your mail under control, I would advise you to make sure that once you define your categories, actions, and filing decisions, you will process each new email which comes into your mailbox according to this process, and therefore achieve inbox zero several times a day. What about the backlog with my current inbox? Depending on how many mails you have in your inbox, you might decide to process them all according to your new workflow. I would advise you to do that if you can manage that in one short setting. If you have 20 or 30 mails, you can do this in probably 10 to 15 minutes once you're clear about your processes. Now, if you have over 50 or even over 100 mails or way more, I would advise you to create a special folder, probably call it Old Inbox, and move everything there. This way, you start from scratch and can still access the old mails without fear of losing them. The only rule is that nothing gets in that old inbox. You only chip away mails here by processing them according to your workflow. The goal is to clear this folder and delete it as soon as possible. You should define the workflows for each system. It is important that these workflows are working on as many systems as possible. That is why I was so keen about being able to create reminders with backlinks or notes with links to emails. Or save emails as PDF or EML files, not only on my Mac, but also on iOS and iPadOS. So I can do nearly all of the workflows no matter where I am. If a workflow works differently on Mac versus iOS, I would describe it for both. Start with a template. In the description of this video, I will link to a sample template of how I created my process. You can download it, but please adapt it to your own style and needs. Make it your own. It might look daunting at first, but once you realize the power that these defined processes have, you will be glad that you took the time to create them for yourself. There you have it, the complete way of getting in control of your email once and for all. If you like this video, hit the like and subscribe button, and if you haven't watched my Connecting Mail to Everything videos on iOS or Mac, you can do so now via the upcoming links. See you next time. Bye.